Bootstrap for Goodies Part 2. So in this video, I'll be showing you how to use collapse, tooltip popovers, and icons using Bootstrap 4. And again, my source is w3schools.com. So again, the objectives is for us to use or understand the use of collapse, tooltip, popovers, and icons. So here I am now on the web page or the website of W3 School, and particularly under Bootstrap 4 tutorial. So first I'll be showing you the use of collapse. So we have here Bootstrap 4 collapse. So Bootstrap collapse is actually for using collapsible elements. So collapsible are useful when you want to hide and show a large amount of content. So in this case, for example, I have here this click me button. If I click on this button, then it will show here a paragraph. So that's a collapsible. So as an example, for this particular example, we have here a button. It plays here data toggle collapse, then data target demo. So that's a target division. Then we have, so that's the button, and then we have here collapsible. And then this ID should be the ID of this division, and with the class collapse. So if you click on this button, then it will show this particular division. Let's try it here. So I have here the necessary links. Then I have here my code. So I have here my heading, simple collapsible, then a paragraph, and then here's my button. So let's take a look at the button. So the button is of course with the class button primary, then data toggle collapse. So you have to place this one, data toggle collapse, then data target equals the ID. So this could be changed. So this should be the target ID of the division that you want to be collapsible. So here we have here now the division with the ID demo. So that's the ID. It should be the same, and then with the class collapse. Then we have here the paragraph. Okay, so if we click on this, it will show us the paragraph. We click on it again, then it will hide the paragraph. So that's a collapsible. Again, if you click again, so it will show and hide the area or the division or the container. So here, although we have already explained, so the collapse class indicates the collapsible element. So that's the collapsible element, so the collapse class. And so it should be, it can be a division, so it can be other things. This is the content that will be shown or hidden with a click of a button. To control the show hide collapsible content, add the data toggle collapse. So we have here the data toggle collapse attribute to it can be a link or a button. So in most cases, it's a link or a button. Then add the data target. So we have the data target equals the ID of the collapsible element or collapsible content. So to connect the button with the collapsible content. So for A elements, you can use the href attribute instead of the data target. So if you're using an anchor tag, so instead of data target, so here we use data target then ID, we can use the href. So here's an example. So href equals demo, that's the ID, and then data toggle collapsible. So here we have now the same. So I'll not be demonstrating that anymore because it's just same with the button, except that we can use href instead of the data target. So by default, the collapsible content is hidden. However, you can add the .show class to show the content by default. So just like in the previous example, if you open this again, let's try to open this again. So by default, the collapsible element is actually hidden. Now what if you want the collapsible to be shown or visible by default. So all you have to do is to add the class or the show class. So just like in this case, div id demo class equals collapse, and then I added the show class. Now, very similar to the previous example, but here you notice that the collapsible element is shown by default. So here's that element. So as highlighted by this one, but here you can see here that chaser collapse equals show. So the collapsible element now is shown by default. So once we click, then it will be hidden. Then we click, it will be again shown. Now, here is another example of collapse, but we usually call it the accordion. So collapsible content item, then we have with the element collapsible group item, collapsible group item 3. So if I click on this, it will hide. Click on this, it will show this part. Click on this, it will show this part. So it's just like an accordion where we can expand and contract several elements. So the following example shows a simple accordion by extending the card component. So use the data parent attribute to make sure that all collapsible elements under the specified parent will be closed when one of the collapsible item is shown. So here's our accordion. So we have ID accordion, so of course that's changeable. Then we have the class card. So we have here the class card, and then the card header, and then here we have the collapse show. So instead of just a card body, we wrap that inside a collapse, the collapse class. Okay, and then another card here without show, so that means that this one is hidden. So the card body here again is inside this division wherein we have the class collapse. And also we have to specify the data parent, which is actually the accordion. So here another card. Then the card body is wrapped inside again a division with the class collapse. So that's our code. So let's take a look at the example here. Again, we have our main container, that's the parent. So we have here accordion example, the heading, and then no, that's not the accordion parent, rather that's just the container. So here is our accordion parent. So it contains all of the cards. So these are actually 3 cards here used in our accordion, and then this is one card. So the first one, this one is a card. This is the card header, and this is the card body. So the card header contains a link. So this one is the link. So card link, data toggle collapse. So that's where you place data toggle collapse. And then href is collapse 1. That's the ID of the body, the container that contains the body. So collapse 1 corresponds to this one, collapse 1. So that's actually a link, or you can again use a button if you want. So this ID should be corresponding to this ID, and then you should place your data toggle collapse. And this division now contains the body, and we have to use the class collapse. Optionally, you can place show here if you want the element to be shown by default. So in this case, as you notice, this element is now shown by default. Then we have to place data parent accordion, and then card body. So since this is a card, that's why we have card header, and card body contains the element. So this is the contents of the card element. Then we just create something like 3 of these or 4 of these or any number of this. So we have the next card. So the next card, the same format, except here that the element is not shown. That's why I have here only class equals collapse. And you notice here that the href here is collapse2, which is the ID of this container that contains the card body. Then the same is true with this. You notice the ID is href is collapse3, or that's a data target if you use a button, and then here we use ID collapse3. So this corresponds with this, and the output is something like this. We're in there, you can collapse or hide elements. So next, now we are through with collapse. Let's now discuss about tooltips. So Bootstrap for tooltips. So Bootstrap for tooltips. A tooltip component is a small pop-up box that appears when the user moves the mouse pointer over an element. So we have to place the mouse pointer. So I'm moving my mouse pointer, my cursor, over an element. So here we are with two elements here, a button and a link. If I move the mouse pointer on top of this button, you notice there is a pop-up, small pop-up. It says hooray. So that is a tooltip. If I again hover here, then there's the pop-up, the tooltip, hooray. So how to create a tooltip? To create a tooltip, add the data toggle tooltip attribute to an element. Then use the title attribute to specify the text that should be displayed inside the loop. So it says, so here's the link. Then we have the data toggle tooltip, and then title hooray. So this will appear in our pop-up, and we should place a data toggle tooltip. That's it. So tooltips must be initialized with jQuery, but we should have a jQuery. Select the specified element and call the tooltip method. The following code will enable all tooltips in the document. So it says here, script document ready function, and then we select all elements with data toggle equals tooltip attribute. So that tooltip. So this will enable all tooltips. So let's try that again in our code. So here's our tooltip, but remember, take a look at our code. We should have this script to enable our tooltip. And then in our body, so you can place this above if you want. So it's placed here below. So we have here now our href, and what is important here is we have the data toggle equals tooltip, and inside the title will be the text to be displayed if we hover on this element. So if I place my mouse here, then it says here hooray. So I can change this one. Let's say, for example, I change this one to University of Luzon. So if I run this, if I hover on this, so it will display University of Luzon. How do we position tooltips? So by default, the tooltip will appear on top of the element. So use the data placement attribute to set the position of the tooltip on top, bottom, left, or right side of the element. So again, we need to use the data toggle tooltip and then the title, but we now added another attribute, the data placement. So you can use data placement top, data placement bottom, data placement left, or data placement right. So let's try to look at the example. So here on the first one, so data toggle equals, again, repeat, you should have this jQuery for you to use the tooltip. So here again on the first one, so we have the data toggle tooltip title. So you can change this title if you want to replace what should be displayed by the tooltip. And then what is shown here are the data placement. So the first one is top, bottom, left, right. That corresponds to the text, top, bottom, left, right. So here data placement is top, here data placement is bottom, data placement is left, and data placement is right. So the output, if you click on this, so you notice that the tooltip is on top, and that's also the default. If I place this one, the tooltip is now at the bottom. So the tooltip is on the left side of the element, and the tooltip is on the right side of the element. And lastly, for this demo, we have the popover. So a popover is quite similar to a tooltip. So a popover component is similar to tooltips. It is a pop-up box that appears when the user clicks on an element. The difference is that the popover can contain much more content. So it can contain much more content. So here, if I click, that's a popover. If I click on this, another popover. So it's a toggle. It shows and it can be shown and it can be hidden. So how to create a popover? So to create a popover, add the data toggle popover attribute to an element. Then use the title attribute to specify the header text of the popover, and use the data content attribute to specify the text that should be displayed inside the popover body. Okay, so here is an example, href. So we have to use data toggle popover. If you still remember, in a tooltip, we use data toggle equals tooltip. So here we use the data toggle popover, and then in the title we use, this will be the text that will be displayed in the tooltip, but here this will just be the header of the display. So title equals popover header, and then data content. So this will be the content of the popover, and then we just have here the text for the link. Okay, so popovers must also be initialized with jQuery. Select the specified element and call the popover method. The following code will enable all popovers in the document. So this code will select all popover inside our web page, and then it enables them. So let's try this one. So here's the popover. So if I click on this, that's the header and the contents. So again, if you're going to look at the code, we should have this one. So just like in the tooltip, so we selected all elements with data toggle equals popover, and then we just place it that popover to enable all popovers. And then we have here our link. So instead of data toggle tooltip, we use data toggle popover. The title will be the header. So this is the header, popover header, and the content will be the body. So some content inside the popover. So let's say I want to change this one. So that will be my header inside the body. So wait, my keyboard. And then on the data toggle content will be, so you can place here some text. So let's say I'm going to place here College of Computer Studies, Dagupan City. Let's see if I can place here a BR. I'm not sure with that. But let's try to run. So if you click on this, so there, oh, the BR is not actually, so it's just text, it's not formatted. So Dagupan City, College of Computer Studies, Dagupan City. What if I use \n? It's not also shown. So just pure text. Okay, so there. So that's a pop. That's a popover. How do we position popovers? The same with Tooltip, we can position the popovers also by using the data placement attribute. So it's very similar with Tooltip. So we have here data placement. So the same with the previous example, but what is different is now we added data this attribute, data placement top, data placement bottom, data placement left, and data placement right. So again, if you're going to look at the code, we have this jQuery. Then these are all similar to the previous example, except that we place data placement top, data placement bottom, data placement left, and data placement right. So if I click on this, so it's on the top. If you click on this, it's at the bottom. Click on this, it's on the left side. Click on this, it's on the right side. Okay. So the placement attribute does not work as you expect if it's not enough room for them. For example, if you use the top placement at the top of a page where there's no room for it, it will instead display the popover below the element to the right, wherever it is room for it. So closing popovers. By default, the popover is closed when you click on the element again. However, you can use the data trigger equals focus attribute, which will close the popover when clicking outside the element. So as an example, href, so title dismissible popover, data toggle popover. So this is what we're going to add. Data trigger equals focus. So data content, similar, etc. So let's try that. Again, what's different here is we just use a data toggle, a data trigger equals focus. So we have the script, similar, we have the content. So if I click on this, you have the content. So that's a title, the header. Data content will be this one. So if I click anywhere, then it will dismiss the popover because of this attribute, the data trigger equals focus. Okay, so the next one, if you want the popover to be displayed when you move the mouse pointer over the element, use the data trigger attribute with the value of hover. So the previous one is data trigger focus. This one is data trigger hover. So by default, we should click just like this one. We click and then it appears. So click again. But on the second one, if we move the mouse, then the popover will appear. So that's why we use what? We just added the data trigger equals hover. So the same, we should have this jQuery. Okay, so that's it for this video. So as a conclusion, we have discussed the use of collapse and the use of tooltips and the use of popover. Oh, I'm sorry. There's still one more. As part of this video is the Bootstrap 4 icons. Excuse me. Excuse me po. So Bootstrap 4 icons. Bootstrap 4 does not have its own icon library. So in Bootstrap 3, we have the glyph icons from Bootstrap 3 are no longer supported in Bootstrap 4. However, there are many free icon libraries to choose from, such as Font Awesome and Google Material Design icons. To use Font Awesome icons, add the following to your HTML page, so there will be no downloading or installation required. So we just use this link. to use font awesome. So just add this to your page, and then to add the name of the icon class to inline HTML, just use I or span. So just in this case, we have class, so font awesome, then cloud li, so FAS, FA coffee car file bar. So we can use I or span. Then that's it. So we just add this link and then add icons just like this. So let's try it. So here you notice my icons, we have the heart, so it says here my icons, and then we have this I, so FAS, and then FA heart, so we have the heart icon. So an icon along with some text, so FAS thumbs up, that's why we have here a thumbs up icon. Then here in the container, so others, we have the cloud, coffee, car, file, and bars. So we have the cloud, coffee, car, file, and then we have the bars icon. So just take a look at this. So that's how we add icons. Now to look at list of font awesome icons, you can also find them here inside the Bluetooth school, or you can just use Google to look for font awesome. So but we can click on this also, and it will show us some of the icons. So here are some of the icons. So we have Band-Aid, cat, etc. Font awesome 4 icons. So we have this. So these are some of the icons. Font awesome 5 icons. And if you want, you can click also on this fontawesome.com to check for other fonts. So you can start for free. So you can just click icons here. Let's check that. So here are some of the icons you can use. Okay, so just check this out, and thank you very much for again viewing this video.